Hello, welcome to The Healing Artist. I'm your host, Frida, and today, friends, I have a wonderful guest to share with you. Deb Stanley loves making connections, and she is all about connectedness as her number one strength and passion. She is also my book editor and family friend. Yay! You are the most perfect guest to have as my first guest on season 2 of The Healing Artist. So, Deb is a published author. She has a series called Taking Tea, which are devotionals centered around creating heart centered connections with others. She's also a book coach and enjoys meeting new people and helping them discern next steps in writing their books, navigating the world of disability and discovering their purpose in their new season of life. Through her business, Transition Bridges, she helps people in seasons of transition bridge the gap between from where they were to where they would like to be through book coaching, IEP, individualized education plans, coaching, and or purpose coaching, using intention, direction, and connection. Welcome to The Healing Artist, Deb.
Thank you, Frida. This is so fun for me. So fun. I don't even think we've ever met in person. We just do this because we live, a little far apart
Yes.
but I always love seeing your face.
It's interesting, Deb, because you have been a name in my household forever because you grew up in service with my sister. So you guys went to
Hmm.
the same church. You could speak more about this.
We
So,
did. Yeah. Yeah, your sister, Sophie.
mhm.
So fun. Yeah, she is my youngest sister, Melanie's age. So we met at church years and years and years ago, growing up, and then my husband Scott and I were the youth directors, and she was in our youth group for a while. So we've known each other a very long time, and you're amazing parents too. So it's fun. And I think we probably moved out of Westchester about the time you were born or soon after.
Yes. So I was
So,
born in 1980. So you were gone very
oh,
shortly
we
after.
were.
But
Yeah.
but your name has always been around the house, and you have always sort of been a mentor to my sister. And you've
Mm-hmm.
helped her with her writing, but it's an interesting mentorship because you were a mentor when she was very young.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're coming back into her life again, 58, 59, 60 years old.
Yeah, that was a fun reconnection. When she mentioned to your mom, I think, hey, I've always wanted to write a book. And your mom said, Deb does that, right? What? And so there was this really amazing reconnection with her. And then I think once in a while you were kind of in the background going, hey, so I got to meet you and it's just so fun. Yeah, we had lost touch for a while. Sort of. I mean, once in a while we'd reconnect, but it was fun to reconnect over a book and really see each other for months, really. While she wrote her book, we kept in touch, and that was a fun project to do with her. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And now, Deb, you also made the connection with Lori Van Worden, who was on the podcast to share her book, Lose Lesson. And this is
lesson.
another one that you were helpful with editing.
Super cute. I didn't, yeah, that one I edited. She just wrote another book
Ooh.
about it's kind of a devotional book for it's not kind of it's a devotional book for like salespeople, business people. So I did a
Wow.
lot of editing in that one. Lose lesson not as much, but yeah, but definitely connected her with you because you are my illustrator friend. That is not
Yay.
my jam. I mean, I can do stick people. In fact, funny story. We have two little grandbabies, and Abby, who's two, said, "Grandma, can you draw an elephant?" We were doing chalk drawings, and sure, sweetums, I drew something. She said, "Ma, I didn't say a cat. I said an elephant." So there you have it. Nana. And I said, Nana draws all animals the same with a body and stick legs and a tail and some ears. She went, oh, okay. She gives me a lot of grief.
Oh my gosh. Bigger ears, shorter tail.
I don't know. I think I tried to draw a trunk and it was a hot mess, Frida, but
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
so I do not illustrate.
Speaking of devotionals, tell me more about your book series, Taking Tea. How did that come about?
Making tea came from our youngest daughter Rachel's experience in Nairobi. She went there for 8 or 9 months right after college on a mission trip. And she was in charge of photographing a lot of the children there and connecting them on social media to get people to sponsor the children. So very fun for her. And they have a tradition there called they call taking tea, and several times a day they put their work aside and they connect with whoever they're with at the time over a cup of tea. Well, it's tea. I was going to say coffee, but that's more here. Over a cup of tea. So she learned very fast, very quickly. They take it seriously. The first day she was there, she was still working. They went, "Oh, no, it's taking tea time. You need to put that aside." So I just thought, what a wonderful tradition. And what would that look like here in our world of social media and connection, but not always human connection, right? There's a false sense sometimes of connection.
Yeah.
And face to face is hard unless we live, close together. But it just I just loved it.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of taking tea. Yeah, I've done some taking tea devotionals.
And what are in those? Like, what is an example of that?
Um, oh, good question. Wow, way to put me on the spot.
Like, are you taking tea with Christ? Are you taking tea with your spiritual center, or are you taking tea with another human?
It's both. So there's always a Bible verse in there, but then it's also how do we do that? So I wrote one for 2020 when our world turns upside down, which of course it doesn't need COVID to turn our world upside down. It did, but we also during that year, my father passed away. I
Mm.
broke my wrist. I so our worlds can shift at any time. And how do we continue to take tea when those things happen? How do we continue to connect with others?
Mhm.
Because sometimes our maybe reaction is to withdraw and kind of like, ooh, I'm in a tough season. I just kind of want to. I don't want to connect with people right now. I don't
Yeah.
want to necessarily do that. So one of the examples is at that point, my mom and dad were in a nursing home before my dad passed away in assisted living. And they were in separate places because my mom just needed a place to sleep at night. She wasn't getting much sleep. So she would be with my dad all day, go back to her apartment at night and be able to have some good rest. And then 2020 hit and that changed. So, but somebody had left her a piece of pie. One of her neighbors left a piece of pie outside of her door and it meant the world to her. And we think of these big things and sometimes it's just a slice of pie
Yeah.
and knowing somebody's thinking about us and took the time to make a gesture like that. So it doesn't even have to be over a cup of tea or coffee, but how do we connect with others and let them know that they're important and we see them,
Yeah.
even especially in a time of COVID when everybody was isolated. I see you, and yeah, so it's that kind of thing, and
Mhm. Yeah, that's really beautiful and incredibly important. And sometimes when we can't see, when we're so wrapped up in our own problems, there's like a level of vulnerability that almost needs to be gotten past in order to make that connection, sort of just
Mhm.
like pushing through our own walls to share ourselves with another or take that step to drop the pie off. Like
Right,
taking that
right.
step to see it's okay to do that. We're so used to, unfortunately, I feel like we've become more and more isolated with the internet.
Hmm.
Whereas, everything is, on the phone as opposed to being in person or sharing one-on-one like that.
Yeah, so much of it is, and we get this false sense of Facebook friends who sometimes are genuine people that we see a lot, and other times I'll look at something and think, oh, we're connected, but I don't remember even how we're connected. Probably a mutual connection somehow, but that's not somebody. If I needed something or needed to talk with someone, that's not a person I would reach out to. So we
Right.
need our genuine friendships who are there on Facebook, but also in person and the true friends that we know we can call on if we really needed something or
Yeah.
needed someone to talk with. So yeah, it's been interesting. One of my taking tea books is in Belize. I took taking tea in Belize. We did a mission trip there, and they just naturally do that. They have phones, but I read somewhere that in other cultures sometimes their phones. How was it? They own phones, but their phones don't own them.
Oh,
I
oh,
know,
oh.
right? Yeah. So they have phones and they're on social media and but when you're there, they are with you. They're connecting and they're very community minded. And so this church in Orange Walk, Belize, Koinonia Ministries, it's just a wonderful, beautiful community of people who naturally connect. Their teens don't seem to have as many issues as our teens here sometimes. And I think a lot of it is because they have community and they also don't have as many activities and things dividing their attention. So for sure that's part of it. So
Mhm.
their church is their heart of community.
Yeah.
And that's changed here a bit. So
There's
but
like,
yeah.
yeah, there's a level of so I go to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley, and one of the things that is nice there is we have like a chalice circles. So there's like a
Hmm.
community of they happen to be other women, but we'll meet like it's either 12 or less, and then you hang out once every 2 weeks, and there'll just be a topic, and then you do deep sharing and deep listening.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because I am the youngest in this group. Everybody is in their later 70s or 80s to mid 80s. So something that and I love it. Oh, I love being the
Hmm.
baby because there's
I
so much
bet.
wisdom and there's so
Hmm.
and it's just like there's a lot of me like just being like thank you ladies for everything that you did to elevate the consciousness to get me to the
Hmm.
place where I'm able to just be who I am now because
Hmm.
I don't have the same lived experience as women that didn't have as many choices
Sure,
when
right.
they were younger. And but just noticing with younger generations that there isn't necessarily even just going to church on Sunday, it's old. Everybody's old.
That's true. That is
Like
true.
and like it's so interesting because I'm like, is this like theater? Are people just going to keep aging into um sanctuary community in that way? Or is it going away? So it
Yeah, I
sounds like
love
what you're
that.
talking about, the taking tea, like now is the time
Hmm.
when we stop and we actually consciously do it. Like it's on my calendar. Nothing's not getting to me that
Hmm.
Thursday afternoon. We're doing that.
Right, right. Yeah, that is interesting with your church too. And we at our church we do have young families coming in. We're kind of losing our young people though, our teens, preteens, teens, and then people maybe will come back. But so there's this mix of like really young families and then older people.
Mm,
And where's our middle, you know, I don't know. It's interesting. And some of it is because people are just busy and there a lot of things are calling to us that when I was growing up, we went to church. It wasn't even a
same.
question, but we didn't have all these other activities going on. And also, we didn't have sports practice and we didn't have, on a Sunday morning, everybody just not everybody, but most people went to church. So it's just interesting. But yeah, but carving out that time. And you mentioned earlier too about being vulnerable, and that's not always easy to do. So how do we or how sounds like safe space has been created for you
Yeah,
to have some
definitely.
vulnerable sharing, and how do we
Yeah.
do that? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that like when I was younger, we just went to church and there was no question in it. And that was what was going on until I was like 12. And
Hmm.
then we had switched congregations. And then it was like when I did leave the church for a period of time. I left probably between 21 to now honestly 44
Hmm.
when I went back. Like I did leave also. Me choosing to go back was like an actual choice. Like I was just like, I want that.
Yeah, I
I
think that
want to
happens a
sit
lot.
in
Hmm.
community with others. And the Unitarian Universalists are especially interested in like I think that they start off their thing, they're like the intersection of art and social justice. And I'm like, that's for
Hmm.
me. And then it
Hmm.
happens to be within a faith wrapping. But
Right.
yeah.
It's important to find your faith community too that feels
Mhm.
natural in whatever that looks like, and it's different for everyone. So yeah, I love that. Hopefully you find some more younger people though. It's nice. I mean, the older people is great. I obviously am older and I love being around older people. And also it's nice. I like to hang out with different generations.
Same.
So yeah. And
Mhm.
and I get to do that because my daughters, we're still active and then we have our little granddaughters now. But still, just in general, it's fun to hang out with younger people too and see what you're up to. And yeah.
I
Get
think
that
that
good energy.
honestly, like, I think that younger people, so like each generation, I have the feeling that like they're doing the work. I don't know, the words I would use in my woo-woo language are to elevate the consciousness of humanity. So like we keep elevating it higher and higher. And like the young people that are coming in now, I would learn from them. What do
Right.
you have? What do you see? How do you feel? Like, and I just feel like they're getting more and more tools and language sooner
Yeah. I think you're right. I
and
think
more
you're right.
access.
hmm
How
Yeah,
old are
I love
your
that.
how old are your grandkids?
They're 5 and 2.
Okay, great. So,
So, so there you go. Yeah, and it is interesting to watch. And even our girls, they're in their 30s. Our oldest just turned 40, but they're in their 30s. And so it's been fun to watch them and their progression into adulthood. And there were definitely times when they didn't go to church either. Just couldn't, they've moved around and couldn't find that right fit. And that's really important. And it probably would look different to each one of them.
mhm,
Our youngest daughter goes to church with her husband and the two little girls, and she's pretty much always gone. But her other two searched and they've been different, they've explored different things. So, yeah, but it's important to find that community if you can.
mhm.
And yeah, I love that.
Where do you find yourself? I'm seeing you as like the web, the connector, connecting a lot of people.
hmm
So I know you've sent authors to me for illustration, but just like as your web of connector, how do you make those connections in the world? Where do you find people?
A good question, but I feel like I find them, I mean, really anywhere, right? When we strike up a conversation, things come up. Like, I joined a group here called 52 Connections, and it's a business community. And that's been amazing because I think you probably know this too, but as a solopreneur, it can be really lonely and you're trying to figure out all the things on your own. It's nice to have people to kind of bounce ideas off of and people to just connect with and have a community rather than being isolated. So I've been finding a lot of connection there. Our community is fairly small, so there's a lot of natural connection in our community with each other. So yeah, for like the disability piece, somebody today said, "Well, I have a daughter, with an IEP, and I didn't even know you do that, and I don't know what I'm doing." And I show up at the table, and I'm like, I don't even know what questions to ask, and what. So how do I get in contact with you, or how do people find you? And really, the easiest way is because I'm a retired special education teacher. So people in my community know that. So it's an easy, like Deb would know, she would have an answer. For her, we've just met. So then it's through our new community that's virtual and in person. So we can have a bigger community. But yeah, so I would say word of mouth a lot of times. And just, I don't know, social media, it's a great way to show up, and also I don't always love it. So, because I know I could do that and say, "Hi, I'm Deb Stanley, and I do XYZ," and I do that, but it's much more fun this way or in front of a community of people or in my own
Mhm.
community. So, I don't know if that answered your question, but
When you were doing special education teaching, what did that entail and where were you doing it?
most of my special education teaching was in a sixth grade classroom as a
Oh,
resource room
okay.
teacher. So I had different kids of different abilities coming to me, and I loved that because every year I had somebody with a disability I'd never heard of and like trying to navigate that, like, ooh, what does that look like? And so I love that. And then I went to the high school for 2 years and did resource room again. And I went to the high school because a lot of families were coming saying, hey, our child graduated, yay. And now they're sitting in the basement. They're disconnected from community. They're struggling. We're struggling because we lost school support. We're not sure how to help them. So then I started connecting them with community resources and opportunities so that they have a place to start at
Oh,
least,
yeah.
which was great. So that's really transition bridges. I do a lot of connecting. If people call me and say, hey, my adult's looking for housing, then we have a nonprofit housing, association here. We have a coffee shop that's my favorite place that hires people with disabilities. So if people want to start a coffee shop in another community, well, they can call the owner and she'd be happy to talk with them. So I compiled a group of resources and individuals who help with disability related challenges.
Hmm.
And it's called The Power of Community Connectedness. So, there's a theme here.
Yeah, definitely. I love it.
I love, there's something about connection that just, it's so fulfilling. And I know you feel that way too. You make those heart connections and it just lights us up.
Yeah.
And so how do we do that? And so often we try to navigate everything on our own. And it's harder and I don't know, it's not as fun,
Yeah.
Frida,
Yeah.
to be Googling going, how do I do this? Than
Hmm.
sitting here or over a cup of coffee chatting instead of Google. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that some people do work really, really well alone.
Hmm.
However, I think that the majority of us would do better communally or tribally. Like we're meant to live in community. We're meant to help each other because we're each good at different stuff.
Hmm.
So when we bring our resources together, then we have the full picture. Then we can make the
Hmm.
thriving space and live right. But the whole disconnection of just being behind a white picket fence alone, pulled in, instead of living communally, it's something I feel like we've lost. Like even just sharing like let's see. So I understand the word disability in terms of like, oh, this is how people function in society. Like, this is what we're teaching towards in this way. But I don't even think it's just a different kind of ability, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, like, they offer
Yeah.
something different and a different shifted perspective in the world. Like,
Hmm.
and if you're not here all of the time or have function different issues where your body doesn't function exactly the same, oh, we're only built for this structure where we function in a certain way. But like maybe the thing that we would call a disability is actually an ability to do something to have heightened smelling senses or heightened vision
Right.
sense or like
Yeah,
something. It's a gift in some way.
it is. Absolutely. Yeah, one of my friends here coined it a unique ability, and I like that
Oh,
because
yeah.
then we're not focusing on what's not working or is a challenge, but we're focusing on the person and what they offer.
Yeah.
And everyone offers something.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I love that. Yeah, unique ability. Sometimes people call it differing abilities, just kind of taking
Ooh.
away from the disability. But
I mean,
yeah,
that's what we call it in the world because that is what they agreed upon. So yeah,
that's
it's
it.
not like
Yeah.
a bad word. It's just sort of like within that, there's gifts.
Oh, absolutely. And it's fun as a teacher. It was always fun to uncover those and and unravel it and kids would say I'm not good at anything and I said no, it's just that school's a challenge. You're good at art, you're good at music, you're good at even just finding good in people and valuing people, and that's a gift. And so just because school's hard, it doesn't mean that everything you do is going to be hard and that you're not going to be good at it.
Yeah.
I don't know that a lot of us are good at school. I wasn't good at school. I just wasn't. School was hard. It was hard for me.
Yeah.
And um, yeah, a lot of times I thought, I'm just not very smart. It took growing into who I am to realize, yes, I am, but I'm smart in other areas. And school is so much test taking and all those I'm not a good test taker. Give me multiple choice, and I'm like, I don't know. It could be this, but it could be that, but it could be this, but it could be that.
Oh my gosh, I did the same thing. It's such a shade
Ah.
of gray, right? Like when you can see the
Yes.
possibility in all of the things, right?
Just ask
Yeah.
me what I know and I can tell you. I much preferred essays and just ask me. But if you give me multiple choice, I'm going to be way in my head going, ah.
Yeah.
Or,
Who
yeah.
wrote this test and what do I think that they would like to hear right now?
Okay. Yeah, what are they looking for? I think I know the right answer, but is that what they're looking for? Oh my gosh, Frida. So yeah, school is not a good indicator of whether we're smart or not.
Yeah.
It just isn't. And unfortunately, we base so much on that and on testing and on that it's hard for kids to find their own strengths sometimes. And
And yeah, I mean, and it's
yeah.
hard for teachers even too when they first come into the system to be able to the dream and desire that all teachers, most teachers have for sure, is to help everyone shine just like you're talking about. And then your
Hmm.
possible situation when you have to make this amount of money and work in this amount of budget and you have way too many kiddos and they all
Yeah.
need different stuff. And now what are you
Hmm.
doing?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
challenging. But
Yeah.
I learned so much from my students. I would always tell them, I learned more from you than you'll ever learn from me. You'll forget a lot of what I taught you. Hopefully, you'll remember the important things like, find your place to shine and you have gifts and you have keep figuring out what that is, trying new things. But if I teach you a math lesson, there's a good chance you may forget unless you're using, math a lot. And that higher level math, probably not. So
Yeah. Well,
maybe.
that sounds beautiful, though. It seems like you were out there touching lives, especially at a younger age, just saying, you have worth and value. I mean, like, there's nothing better than that. So,
I know. We all need to hear that. I didn't hear that a lot growing up. And we all need to hear that. So I really try to instill that in my students, especially because they had challenges that sometimes people only see the challenges and not the person in there and all the things that they're capable of doing. So
yeah.
um yeah, I wrote my I Wish book. I wrote about sort of about that, about how we make assumptions about people sometimes based on their appearance. If we see somebody in a wheelchair, we see somebody with hearing aids, and it could be completely wrong. And learning to not do that, but being human, we do that. Um, I showcased a person I still love, and we do events together. And she was at her last IEP meeting, and I had already left teaching at that point, so I was not there. But we had one of the professionals ask her what she wants to do after high school, and she said she wants to be a baker. And she said, "You can't be a baker." And Beck was like, What do you mean? I've been baking since I'm 5 years old." But she was born with a disability that her arms don't bend very well, and she's kind of tiny. And the person said to her, "Well, how are you going to lift a 50-pound bag of flour?" And she looked at her and she was, "I'm not. I'm going to have my own business and I'll hire somebody, or I'll just work. If I work for somebody, somebody there will carry my bag of flour." And she went on to get her culinary degree. And in that training, they taught everyone how to safely carry a 50-pound bag of flour. So she can do it anyway. She's so feisty, feisty pants. But she's in my I Wish book. I love her. She's gone on to do her own baking business, baking with Beck. So it was that kind of looking at her, assuming something
Yes.
and not knowing her at all and who she is. And she's not one to say, "Oh, okay, I won't do that." She's going to be
Hmm.
feisty pants and say, "Yes, I can." Who are you to tell me what which is good
That
because
is
not
good.
everybody does that. I know we don't. Sometimes if somebody tells us we can't do something, we take that to heart and we're like, "Oh, I thought I could, but maybe I can't." And to her credit, she's like, "Oh no, I can do it."
Yeah. I
But
would I
yeah.
would love us as we're older here to be modeling sharing that yes you can
Hmm.
to help, just not, like if we could knock that out of the equation and never put that into young people's experience in the first
Right.
place, the sky is
Hmm.
the limit. There's so many like limitations that we're told that we cannot do.
Hmm.
Like meanwhile, just think of athletes, they're breaking records, breaking records, breaking records. Who knows what's possible if we got into like this idea of the expansion of the universe? Like who knows? Everything is possible. The
It really
possibilities are
is.
so much bigger than what we have decided that they are, or what we're born into, or how we're born.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that's so much of it. I know you know that too. So much of it is it starts here, right?
Yes,
In our
absolutely.
head.
Limiting
Like, I
beliefs.
can't do that. And like, again, changing our thoughts and our mindsets. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I can figure out how to do that. I can do it. Yeah, I would love to be able to touch young people that way and just because it is hard. We don't have control of our environments when we're growing up. And I don't know what your experience was, but I was bullied a lot. There was no place that somebody said, "You can totally do that. You can," who was encouraging and it was always, "Well, you're not going to amount to anything. You're not good at school. You're not, blah, blah, blah." And you take that to heart until you realize that's not right.
Yeah.
That's not true. That's not right. But it takes us to adulthood sometimes to figure that out. And as a
Yeah.
kid, it's devastating
Yeah. I was in
because
my mid to late 30s until I came to understand those
Mhm.
things. That's okay. That's my journey. But there is a level of me as an adult, like, God, if we could save younger people, if they could just bypass this, show me what's possible, right? Just,
Mhm. And you know what? A lot of them are. I look at art girls and I'm like, good for you. Like they know that. They are around people who feel like they do, think like they do, or not are putting those really positive um thoughts in their heads and they know better. They know better. They're surrounding themselves with people who I don't know. Our daughter Courtney does keynote speaking and she's about all
ooh,
about rising by lifting other women. We
yeah,
rise by lifting others. So there's that new language and thoughts that is good. And they question things, which is good. Like, I don't know if I
yes,
believe that. Good. You question that. You
yes.
question it. And same in our faith. God's okay, you can handle that. I don't know what I think about that. That doesn't make sense. I totally, my quiet times, I'm like, whoa, what do you mean by that? I'll be reading my Bible thinking, huh, that's interesting. So it's okay. It's okay to question things. And I think this generation is doing that. And they're going to therapy and
Hmm.
they're doing things that are healthy. And where therapy when I was growing up, like that was a like I don't know what it was, stigma
Hmm.
probably. Like you don't get it, you figure it out. You pull up your bootstraps and you figure it out. And
Yeah,
yeah, we need
yeah,
each other to pull things out of us that we don't see in
yes.
ourselves.
Or to reflect it back, just to, or even
Or
ask the
yes.
question
Hmm.
to help us see what's possible because there is
Right.
so much expansiveness available.
Yeah, so much. So much. And we're all capable of so much. And we need even that one person to believe in
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
And I find that with book coaching too, that people think, I'm not a writer. I'm not yes, you are. And if you have a message, then you're meant to send that message out into the world, whatever that looks like. If it's in the
Mhm.
form of a book, then we'll do it. We'll create that book. So yeah.
Tell me more about how you help people do that.
Um, well, book reading, I think the first question I usually ask is why? Why you want to write a book? What message do you have? And that's usually what it is. I want to write a book because I have a message that I feel I meant to share, and I would love to share that in a book. And then we create a plan of, okay, well, what does that look like? Let's carve some space for your writing. What does that look like? It could be a number of pages, a number of words, a number of whatever their season is and how much time they have. And then that accountability piece of like, I'm going to check in on you in a week and let's see where you are. And if you're on track, awesome. And if you're not, do we need to tweak something or what's getting in the way of you creating that space? I have a friend here who I met not too long ago and she does breath work.
Yeah.
So we've been chatting like, hey, Adrian, what if we have like a breathwork session where people have those blocks or those whatever it is with writing that they can peel that away and know what's in the way because sometimes it's not time, it's something else. And
Hmm.
maybe it is that imposter syndrome or that those thoughts of like, do I want to even put this out into the world? And
Hmm.
what are people going to think or say, or do I
Hmm.
care? And if I do, how do I move beyond that? And yeah, so there's a lot to book writing that can get in the way of us finishing that book and getting it out there. And
Definitely. Yeah. Oh, that's
yeah,
wonderful. So you're like a personal trainer, but for writing a book.
oh, I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Like we're going to
personal
work on
trainer
our
for
muscle
writing a book.
strength.
We're
So,
just gonna write on that writing muscle today and like what's getting in the way and what can we figure out and that
yeah.
message that you have, we all have, is important. However, we share it from a stage, from a book, from a podcast, we have a message, and how do we share that with
Yeah.
other people? I love people. I think we talked about in the beginning, but the transition bridges is bridging that gap between where you are and where you want to be,
Hmm.
whether that's writing a book or with purpose. I'm older, so a lot of people in a retirement season and an older season. I'm in my 60s. I know I'm in my last season. What do I want that to look like? What's my purpose?
Mm.
So a lot of purpose coaching and then the IP, the unique abilities or whatever you want to call that is my heart. How do we empower families to show up at that table and ask questions because
Mm.
really the child's biggest advocate. They know their child better than anybody. And so how do we empower you to show up and be the voice for your child and get what they deserve? And
Hmm.
yeah. So yeah, so anyway, I can serve. I'm always welcoming people to reach out and I love chatting. I love connecting. If they live close enough, we can have a cup of tea, but probably a lot of people are virtual and that's okay too. So
Right. And you meet with people online.
I do.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
I love that
Yeah.
you've had this career of just sort of like flowing into this whole thing, but the baseline of it is the heartbeat of connection, like that heart aligned connectedness,
Mhm.
but that it just has flowed in different ways and and you share yourself in multiple ways. Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Thank you. I think we
Yeah.
all do that as we move through this life. We shed things that aren't serving us and we grow things that serve us better. And um, it's nice to be able to do that in a community or at least with somebody, another person, instead of doing it, figuring it out on our own. So connection is just really, we're created for connection.
Yeah.
And
Ooh, I love
yeah,
that. We're created for
mhm,
connection, which could
we
be
are.
another name of a book for you.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. Aw.
Oh, Deb, I wanted to tell you that I love you.
Aw. I love you too, Freda.
God.
Sincerely, I do.
Oh, thank
Someday
you.
we're gonna meet and I'm gonna get a real hug from you.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
God, universe, source loves you. And I hope that you
Mm.
have a wonderful day.